Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I'm a relationship hacker.
Run up and get touched up, suicide. And all of y'all know my. And all of y'all know my style. I excel, then prevail. Run up and get touched up, suicide, that's it. And all of y'all know my style.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ZoWhat morning show has returned to the building. We have another incredible topic today. We got a lot of stuff to cover and a short amount of time in which to do it in. We have businesses. Shit, we got personal shit, and we got a lot of things to cover today. But I'm here to take care of business, and I'm having a great time doing it. You know we got a great topic set up for you, but before we even get into the topic, black businesses, black businesses, black businesses, that's what we do. Do we have our phone caller on the line? He's on the phone taking that call right now, but before we get to them, let me just do this real quick, 3 minutes. I got a young lady in the studio right now. Shit. She gave me 2 of the brightest spots in my life. You all know my son, the young lion. You may not know his name, but you know his moniker. He is the heir to the throne, the heir apparent to Mufasa himself.
To Zamunda.
To Zamunda, my Prince Hakeem. Right?
What's this?
What's this? Oh, huh?
Oh, huh?
My son works! Snigger. Anyway, she gave me my beautiful princess, my daughter. My daughter. Turn your phone off, whoever that is. Oh, that's the computer. I'm sorry. What the fuck is going on? Jesus. It's me. Forgive me. She's here today. You guys know her by the company we promote for her. Shepherd's Sweets is in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Yazzie Classy in the building to promote her business. What's happening, Pimp Strings?
Hello.
Tell them about your business and your candy. She brought a gang of candy. The white man's a crackhead, so he's going to be in here fiending in a moment. Tell them about it. Where can they find it?
Yes, you can find Shepherd Sweets at www.shepherdsweets.com. You can find us on Instagram at Shepherd Sweets and on Twitter at Shepherd Sweets. At Shepherd Sweets 1 on Twitter.
What sells the most? What is the most? What are people more fiendish over?
Our #1 seller is actually not here today. However, one of them is, and it's the Chocolate Toffee Crunch. It's the white chocolate. We've brought our Chocolate Toffee Crunch chocolate and our Zebra Crunch. It's white chocolate with almonds, pecans, and walnuts on it, drizzled with chocolate and toffee on the bottom. I've also brought the lemon butter pound cake and samples of the toffee cake right here in the front.
He's gonna have some greasy little fingers later on, and all kind of butter. Just anyway, it's delicious. Go ahead. What else?
One last thing, we've been invited to the red carpet event for the Emmys, and we're raising funds for our vending fee. Everything's due by September 1st. The Emmy red carpet event is on the 17th, so we're asking everybody to go to the website. You can click on the link to donate.
Excellent. Shepherd Sweets is in the building. Thank you for my badass kids. I hope this suffices. Anyway.
I hope this suffices.
Anyway, we're going to continue to support your business, though, because this is a very intelligent woman. Got her master's degree from the University of Laverne. Smart lady, good mama.
Funny as hell.
With that fire. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Now, let's go on and promote the next young lady who's in studio right now. She's actually booked talent on this show and on other shows before. Chaz was one of your clients, wasn't he?
Yes, Chaz Shepard.
You got speaking to the mic. Chaz Shepard.
Yeah.
She's out here hustling and grinding. Somebody need representation?
Damn.
You better be talented, though. This is the one. Talk to them, Belle. Where can they find you?
www.bromfieldent.com. That's BROMFIELDENT.com. We're talent management and brand management company, so we represent actors and speakers for management, and then we brand everyone. People, businesses, events. So we're your go-to people.
Wow. I could smoke a bag of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell them again, what's the website and what do you do again? Because they just turned on the microphones. Thor. Put the camera on yourself, Thor, when you mess up.
www.bromfieldent.com.
Yes, yes.
And
She's
Twitter
serious.
is at bromfieldent. Instagram is bromfield entertainment, and Facebook is.
And you do a little PR too, don't you?
You know, for management, we have to do that. We have to promote our clients. So yeah, we do it all for our clients. So at a certain point, when our clients getting to a certain point in their career, we bring on a professional PR team to help propel their career and raise the visibility. But yeah, we do it in-house for our clients.
Who was that one dude you brought on that was good as hell? He was like some kind of
we have clients
relationship
in LA,
dude.
We have clients in New York. We've had clients in Houston. We try not to limit ourselves. I have a client in Paris.
Yeah,
But
there you
yeah,
go.
he was a relationship speaker.
That dude was
and
good.
Author, yeah.
I thought he was gonna be
Barnett.
some bullshit, and then he came in and he was dropping some heat. I was like, oh,
I don't
okay.
represent BS
Shit.
clients.
I was like, Belle about her business. Okay, I can't second guess Belle no more. Shit. So if she called me like, fuck, Belle might have a heater again. All right, cool. Yeah, Belle, tell me who it is. But no, she proved herself with that dude. Thank you so much. Your website one more time.
BromfieldENT.com.
Your website one more time.
ShepherdSweets.com.
Y'all better get that Cash Mob. Go check them out. Go look at those websites ASAP. Listen, we're trying to get somebody on the phone right now, guys. Do you have her? No? All right, so this is what we're going to do. Watch this. I'm going to say her number on the air. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to tell y'all to call her. But it's important that we get her on the phone, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to have her call back right now. But as I have her calling, I'm going to tell you who she is and what she represents. Do you guys remember Ramomar, the T-shirt line? I'm wearing one of their jackets now, the bomber jacket, the protected by Horus, the first Christ.
The first Christ.
If you're going to do anything, you might as well be the first at it, right? Why would you wear the Europeanized, dirty hippie remix version?
The dirty hippie.
The dirty hippie. Let's just go right back to the Falcon Wings.
I see.
The first Christ. No, anyway, this brother's website, look at this stuff. He connects you back to your... His shit is like a museum. No, it's not just clothes. It's not just high fashion. This is like a museum. Look at this. Look at the Ankh bags. Oh, that's only... I mean, come on. Crocodile and... Jesus. And then you see the symbol... The little gold, that's 24 karat gold, the little emblem there. That is the original Amun. It's just ridiculous. Look at the shoes. Those should have been the Jordans. You know, the dude's stuff is so fly. It's so dope. He just reopened his website. And what the sister Jewel was going to call in and let you guys know is this. They've relaunched the website. Anybody, because we blew them up before they were ready to do business. When I first introduced this dude, the fans loved his stuff so much, shut his website down. He couldn't handle all of the capacity.
That's good problems.
These are good problems to have. He's a young man, he's a talented man, and he's learning the business game. And now he's finally got his website up and his products up. What they're selling are T-shirts for men, the bomber jacket that I'm rocking right now, the first Christ I'm protecting. Right? What they're selling is all of the men's products in terms of, you know, the bomber jackets, the T-shirts, the blazers, the button-downs. Pull that site back up, man. There's too much beautiful shit on there. Don't be looking at me. Pull it up, Sai. Sai Baba, because he got an afro. Y'all already know. Anyway, the stuff is so nice, man. And later he's going to be adding the woman's dresses. And, it's tailored. Now he's got it set up to where you're going to get your product, especially the T-shirts and jackets and stuff like that. You're going to get it in 7 to 14 days. Anybody who ordered from him in the past that never got their order, he's got a special deal for you. He's going to give you options. Either he's going to give you what you ordered, or he's going to give you your money back, and he's going to give you 50% off on your next purchase. Right?
The latter.
He going to give you, but no, it's not. You're going to get the 50% off regardless. And the choice is, do you want the garment that you purchased before, or do you want the money back from that? You can get the money back, and you could get a 50% off, on your next purchase. So he's going to take care of everybody who supported him in the beginning. The dude's stuff is ridiculously fly. It's high end. It's high level. And I love to promote him, and I'm happy to see that his business is turned around. And the sister that was calling in, her name is Jewel. She is his director of operations. We can't seem to get her on the line right now. She was going to give out her email address, so anybody who didn't get their products before can email her at info@RamomarNYC. I think that's what it is. Don't trust me, because she ain't on the phone. Info@RamomarNY.
Right. Yeah, with a question mark.
NYC.com.
Question mark. What's this?
What's this? Anyway, anybody who follows me knows I'm going to, send out all of the information. She is going to handle everybody's claim, and all the new customers are going to be taken care of for the T-shirts and all of this stuff. Can you guys show the T-shirts one more time? It's important that we get this done correctly. Yeah, right there, T-shirts. See, T-shirts. See that? This nigga got a Hitler mustache. He got one of them old school mustache. But look at the shirts. These patterns right here are Assyrian. That's the Assyrian lion hunt. Look at, man, Pianki the Great. Ah, yes. Don't you love it when somebody is producing high-end, high-quality stuff? Anyway, that's the brother. I want to support his business. I want you guys to support him as well. I have to move on. Next business, mind-blowing mobiles. Wanda Trotter, if you're a small business and you don't have an app, you got to understand apps are the new websites. Apps are the new stores. And if everybody is on the internet on their phone, then that means your store as an app
can be seen.
Is not on their phone unless you get her. My app is on everybody. She made my app. Look at that. That's her right there. Sending out notifications. ZoWhat show is on, the new Manchurian Candidate, letting everybody know what the topic is. Isn't that beautiful? Push notifications, programmed. Her stuff is fly. Mindblowingmobiles.com. Wanda Trotter. Get there. Do it now. This is Cash Mob Mondays. If we're not cash mobbing black businesses, we're failing. That's all it is to it. We're failing. Now, here's my goal. 2016, this is what we got to do. My latest book, The Holographic Relationship. A deeper look into the relationship between consciousness, spirituality, and intimacy. Oh, it's hot monkey lava for real. I need your help. We're at $2,924. Our goal is $15,000 with 21 days left. Obviously, we're not doing as well as we could be. Today's goal for everybody who listens to this show for free, I ask and implore that you guys get us to $10,000 by day's end. You ain't got to order that damn you ain't got to order that 4-piece and a biscuit today. KFC don't need your business today.
At all.
At all. For the price of the 4 wings and a biscuit, you can donate to Zoe's Indiegogo campaign.
4 wings and a biscuit.
I'm just saying, you can support one of these black businesses.
That's right. That's right.
Right? Our goal is to get to $10,000 before day's end. Now, we averaging, what, 30, 40,000 views on various platforms a week? For every view, if we gave $1,
$1.
Jesus.
Should be much more. Though.
Come on.
It could be $5.
Christ alive. All right? So that's what I'm asking everybody to do. Indiegogo.com/projects/Zo-Williams-new book. Holographic relationships. Come on, guys. Or you could just go to Indiegogo.com and Google Zo Williams, or not Google, but search Zo Williams, and a picture of me will pop up with a damn cream Kango on and a polo sweater or some shit. Pull that up. That's the campaign. Anybody who donates $50 or more will get free underwear from Me Undies. Me Undies has stepped in to support our movement. Free underwear.
I thought you was joking.
$50 gets you 2 pair of Me Undies. $100 get you 5 pairs of drawers.
You don't stop hitting me.
Huh? That's what's up. So many more things to promote. Freedom Paper Company. Gotta get Freedom Paper Company. Hey, if you're gonna wipe your ass, might as well wipe your ass with a black business. Right?
Toilet paper.
Toilet. Bathroom tissue.
Toilet.
Freedom Paper Company. Support them right now. Kev,
Yo.
tell them what you do.
I train people to whoop ass and how to not get your ass whooped. So if you guys want to learn how to defend yourself, give me a call, 310-435-3820, or hit me up at 3bbootcamp.com, and I'll hook you up. Also, if you guys want the Dragon More shirts that people been buying, thank you for that.
Hey, man, fuck your shirt. Ain't nobody buying my shirts.
Hey, Nick.
Shit, you got to share it with me.
Hey, Nick.
No,
yeah, you guys go to the site. We got these in different colors. Also, the dragon comes in red, black, and white. And also, in a couple of weeks, I'm about to start doing some status classes. And if you guys want to learn how to get your status hooked up, email me at realnagas.com, REELNAGAS. realnagas@gmail.com, and let me know, and I'll show you how to get there.
awesome. Listen, so many things to promote, not enough time. When we come back, we're going to get Jewel from Ramomar back on, but we've got to go right now. Our special guest should be locked in. We have a special guest for today. Is he locked in with us? Paul? Oh, it's going to be fire. When we come back, the ZoWhat Morning Show is going to take off. I'm going to holler at y'all in 2.2 seconds. Turn ups.
Yeah.
Bouncing on hydraulics. Granddaddy's caddy with the bright red polish. I'm the equivalent when I drop it. It's worth more now than it was in the hotness. Real talk, my paradigm is timeless. Showed you what time it is, now you know what time is. My clock is the heart when the mind shifts. The young-hearted OG's timeline flip. Brand new heat, but I'm so OG with it.
I start. Hi, I'm Moxie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're the ladies of Suicide Girls Radio, the world's leading BYOB radio show. Pour a glass of your favorite tipple and tune in on Wednesday nights between 8 and 9 p.m. as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of free nipples. Or just flash it would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? People think flashing your tits is easy, right? And it's actually kind of hard.
What we do here is go back.
Hi, I'm Rob Schneider. Hey guys, what's up? This is Matt McAndrew. Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Oakley.
And I'm Corey Cool.
Hi, I'm Martha Madison.
This is Slink Johnson, a.k.a. Black Jesus, b.k.a. Godzilla Lungs.
Hello, I'm Aaron Roberts.
Yeah, what's up? This is Craig Wayans.
Hi, this is Brad Williams, and as you can tell, I have never gotten high.
Speedy Don.
And I am the fabulous Stephen King.
What's good? It's your boy Marcus Park, man. We keeping it lit.
I'm Money B.
Hey, I'm John Sally.
What's up, y'all? This is Crazy Bone in the building.
It's your girl Shantae Wayans. It's your favorite DJ, DJ Spark.
And it's your boy Street Symphony.
And you're watching Z
Hollywood TV.
Cats how to move two worlds with an old school swag and a new school swirl, bringing brand new heat, but I'm so OG with it. Yeah. Brand new heat, but I'm so OG with it. Yeah. Brand new heat, but I'm so OG with it. Yeah. Brand new heat, but I'm still OG with it. Yeah. I'm looking for all the young heads with old souls and all the old heads with young hearts. Let's do it. Truth is, time for some newness. Only a chosen few really do this. Who's this? Young Jesus, who's this? It's a God on the mic, you're rude, it's OG. The original God, the vanguard, still giving you bars. Cats couldn't see the visuals too hard. It's the classic, vintage, brand new car.
Why is a white guy like me co-hosting a black radio show? I think toxic relationships cause you to take poorer care of yourself. That if you can recognize danger, if you can pause, if you can take some breaths, refocus, and engage, you might be able to dodge a bullet that you're going to send or coming towards you. One of the things that men don't get is that often women need to vent first to clear their mind.
So true.
So I'm here to shake everybody up. Black, white, brown, whatever. Can you put up that the website workingnation.com for me? I'm connected with this organization that's going to launch in the next couple of weeks. It's called workingnation.com. It's being supported by a very wealthy guy. And this, what they've discovered is that there's going to be massive unemployment in America. So all these rumors you hear that people will be taken over by technology, they are not rumors. And no one is safe. In fact, the people who are least safe are white-collar workers because doctors will have less of a chance of a job than nurses because you always need nurses to help people, but doctors will be replaced by robots and computer technicians. Accountants, financial people will be replaced. And catch this statistic. There are more people taking the California and New York State bar to practice at $10 an hour in India than there are in America.
Damn.
And so what's happened is, and so maybe what you're saying is, hey, Whitey finally got what he deserved. But but what they're talking about is the American student. We're just not training people. We have there's a phobia about technology in Americans. Americans have lost their desire for curiosity. They've replaced it with conspicuous consumption, which you're going to see when I start eating this food in front of me. And what happens is we can't compete with the rest of the world, and companies are just going to go where the labor is cheaper because they owe it to their stockholders and shareholders. And so this thing's going to launch, and I don't mean to traumatize you, but a part of it is if you get with the program, you can maybe survive and then thrive. What my role is, I seem to be able to help people get through their fears, and I often talk around the country not on leading through change, but leading through fear. And the key when you're leading people through fear, which is almost everyone, is people who are afraid cannot think, they cannot learn. So you have to give them bite-sized things that if they do it, they get 100% chance of success. And then maybe they'll loan you a little bit of their mind, and maybe they'll learn. But everybody in this country is like deers in the headlights of STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and our country has a phobia about it.
Wow!
If we don't get with the program, we're all going to be out of work.
I wonder what Bougie gonna look like.
Bougetto,
little dark. Yeah. Listen, Dr. G has set up today's topic because I'm sure a lot of people gonna have post-traumatic stress disorder after it all hits the fan, right?
And here he goes.
He's about to go in for the candy. Oh, yeah, it's all here for everybody to partake of.
Touching jazz.
That lemon pound cake, though, is not a game.
Really?
It's not a game.
Don't show me eating.
Go ahead, enjoy, everybody.
But don't show
enjoy.
me eating, okay?
But let me do this before I set up the topic after Doc's alley-oop. we finally got Jewel from Ramomar on the phone. Jewel, are you there?
I am here.
Please tell my people who listen to this show, who would love to wear this bomber jacket I'm wearing, but have some skepticism, tell them that all fears are over because...
all fears are over.
Because a woman is in charge. Women get in there and fix your whole life. Tell them, Jewel. Tell them.
So yes, my name is Jewel. I am a representative for Ramomar. I'm the Director of Operations for Ramomar New York and Ramomar Swim. Our main goal has been to perfect the customer service experience. I personally wanted to speak to you guys. Let everyone know that when you email us, we have a new email address. It's info@ramomarny.com. I will personally be reading your emails, researching your concerns, and responding to you individually. You will get a response to your emails within 24 business hours.
Wow.
So much has changed. We have an amazing new website platform. It allows us to fulfill orders quickly. No more extended delays. Orders will be fulfilled and shipped out in a timely fashion. Now, of course, we have some custom orders. Those are, of course, going to take a little bit longer because it's custom tailored, such as like the shoes, some of the dresses. But the non-custom orders, like the T-shirts, you're going to get those within days. Also, another very important thing, we have a lot of customers who have, like, old, unresolved concerns. If you reached out to us longer than 30 days and your issue has not been resolved, we have a special token for you guys. Don't care how long it's been. As long as it's been over 30 days, you have a couple of options, okay? If you place an order and it was not fulfilled, we'll issue you a refund, or we will fulfill your order, and again, you will get it within days. And additionally, we have a special selection of items that you will be able to get one item for 50% off. It includes some of the T-shirts. Not everything is on the special selection list, but some of our most popular items are, including the T-shirts and things like that. And we'll go into more details when you email us, info@ramomarny.com.
So what's the website? What's the website again?
The website is www.ramomarny.com.
Excellent. Y'all better get there. Do it! So you could be as fly as Zoe is right now. Only I am wearing it right now.
Yes.
Appreciate you, young lady. Well, you got some more for us?
So again, the email again, just to make sure everybody got it, info@ramomarny.com.
Excellent. Oh, and thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for calling in during the second part. We appreciate you. Much love, much love. Thank you so much, okay?
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. Talk to you in a little bit.
Talk to you.
All right. Listen. We back to it. Today's topic. And in light of everything that's been going on, my man is in the building. Go on and sit down. The big homie from Weed Juice. You already know. You better get the juices from the homeboy because he takes care of you with the good, healthy shit. So, today's topic is a very important stuff in light of a lot of stuff that's been going down. You guys want to hang her up? Thank you. Ready? People have been doing stuff in the media that I think is crazy.
Like?
Shooting and killing cops. Are we in a time of desperation? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are black men tired of capitulating and being punked by the system?
Absolutely.
Hell motherfucking yeah. Can you understand if somebody lose their motherfucking cool and go out and do something crazy? Kinda yeah. No, it's kinda yeah. But for the most part, intelligent black people sit back and go, what did he do?
That's some bullshit.
I talked about this before. You might see this as racist. It could be considered racist, right? It could be. But for the most part, in the black community, and white people may not know this, but in the black community, whenever there's a mass shooting, all black people assume
he was a white person.
The shooter was white. It's not some shit we go out and do.
Not really.
Now we shoot each other. That's another show. And I've already explained how black rage is manifested against itself because that's the only place it can really have power, where it can really display its power.
You going to jail if you do that to some white people.
Yeah. So in a way, we've been conditioned, brainwashed, and socialized to leave whitey alone.
And hate yourself.
And hate yourself. That's your job. That's so. And a lot of people might be, I'm trying to frame it up, Doc. So when we see the DC shooter,
oh, wow.
That surprised
That's a
us.
Crazy motherfucker.
Right? That surprised us. So when black people see, and maybe black people will disagree with me, but when black people see a black shooter, we go, he crazy. Something wrong with him. Because most of us have been conditioned to capitulate. Right? Capitulation is part of success in America for black people. Now.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So when we saw that, we were surprised. Damn, he shot somebody. What the hell? A black man? Then find out he's military.
Right.
Then Micah Xavier X.
Military.
Military. Then the Baton Rouge shooter.
The
Hold on, let me set it up.
My bad.
I'm gonna bring you in. I know you ready. Fucking set to. First show and ready to go. Right? Baton Rouge shooter, military. So I came up with the topic, the new Manchurian Candidate. A deeper look into PTSD and military-grade remote viewing. Can somebody's mind get turned on at a distance and caused to do some shit? A lot of people don't want to have these kind of conversations because they say it's spooky or that's just unrealistic.
Conspiracy theory.
Listen, we got a special guest on the phone right now. Author Paul H. Smith, PhD, Major, U.S. Army, retired. The name of his book, The Essential Guide to Remote Viewing. Remote viewing, what is that, you may ask?
What's this?
Well, the secret military remote perception skill anyone could learn. Brother Paul, welcome to the ZoWhat Morning Show, man.
Thank you. I have been looking forward to this for a long time.
Me too. I want to know, is psychic abilities innate in the human being? And how does it relate to consciousness? And is consciousness the new frontier of research and study, especially in terms of controlling people? Can we talk about this?
We can. I sure hope. That's why I'm here.
Let's talk about it.
So,
what is remote viewing?
Let's talk about it. Remote viewing is an ability, it's really a skill that is built on an ability that everybody's got. You know, you've heard the story, I'm sure, that being psychic is a gift. If you're going to be a psychic, you got to have this special talent that only very few people have. It turns out not to be true at all. It turns out, and there is laboratory research to back my statement up. It turns out that everybody has the capability to be psychic. They just have to kind of understand how to do it. And remote viewing is a way of making that real, making it work for people who learn it.
Now, what is it? Is it the ability to look into somebody's brain? What is it? Or are they looking into a conscious field or a mind field? What is it?
Mind field, that's kind of a cool term, isn't it?
Yeah.
It got almost a military sound to it, right? Because if you think about looking into somebody's mind, that could be a minefield, right?
Wow. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's when I try and explain it to somebody who hasn't heard about it before, I say it's a kind of form of disciplined clairvoyance. Of course, clairvoyance is an old term for being able to mentally perceive things at a distance, or
clear
behind
vision.
shielding,
Yeah.
or hidden from you in some way, right? Or in the future, even.
Yeah.
And remote viewing is a disciplined form of that. And so, in a sense, you don't really. It's possible to access people's mental contents. In other words, what's going on in people's minds, but that's not the main use for it. The main thing we used it for in the military was actually to spy on foreign threats, like Soviet weapons systems or Hezbollah, hostages of Hezbollah in the Middle East, or maybe narco traffickers in the Caribbean, or whatever, whoever was conceived as being the threat at the time, right? And so we would maybe use our minds, the power of our minds, to spy on what was hidden inside Soviet research facilities, new missile developments or directed energy weapons, that kind of thing. Of course, if it's an intelligence skill, you're going to use it in intelligence kind of operations. And so the military stuff was skewed, obviously, towards military targets. Obviously, since then, it's come out in the civilian world, and people use it for all kinds of things now.
This is crazy. This is blowing my mind. This book right here could teach you how to do this, how to look into this. Let me just go even deeper. Let me just go a little further. You hear a lot of people out there talking about black people have PTSD because ever since slavery, we've been marginalized, we've been maligned, we've been held back through systemic racism, whether it be socioeconomics, whether it be education, whether it be employment, everything, right? Just a terrible kind of citizenship, right? Okay. Well, if that's the case, and I had a conversation with a few people before, and I told them, I said, fighting the American government through physical force is going to get you killed.
Yes. Thank you.
You're not going to have an opportunity to retort. I said the war is held on many different fronts. Now, if you're dealing with a group of people who have a skill like remote viewing at their disposal and you're not doing it,
you behind.
Like, what are you trying to do?
Thank you.
So my whole point is these are the type of tools that make you better prepared, not only for life, you understand what I'm saying, but I would even say for relationships in general. How you gonna lie? I know this helps you in perceiving lies in relationships, right, Paul?
You know what? Actually, in a way, it does. Because what you do in practicing this, you actually develop and enhance your own native intuition. And it's surprising how perceptive you get to be when you get good at this. Even when you're not intentionally trying to remote view something, in the remote viewing world, the idea is you get designated a target, you remote view that target, you report on it, right? So that's a very formal process. But even when you learn that, even your own native intuition that doesn't have to have a target, it just lets you know when there's an issue, when there's a problem, when there's a difficulty, right? It pops up and says, watch out, there's something going on here, right? That gets enhanced.
Wow. Wow. Dr. G?
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on the show, and I hope maybe you can send me a copy of your book, and I'll send you a copy of mine. I wrote a bunch of books, including Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder for Dummies in the Dummy series, and I used to.
You ain't wrote nothing like this, Doc.
I know that's too intelligent for me.
Yeah, but you know, to be fair, I haven't written anything like that either, so you know we're kind of even.
But since we're talking about PTSD, I want to give an example. You know, since it's something I've studied and I've treated, and also since Zoe referred to the military, what happens to these military when they come back and then they end up shooting people? And tell me if this is remote viewing or just sort of just observation, because I've spoken to a number of people, and I think what happens is when you get people who are a little bit, you know, not all that solid, they enlist in the armed forces sometimes, and many of them, this is what they've told me, they say it's a bait and switch, meaning you go there, you're expecting something, and it's different than you were sold, and then you get wounded, and you come home, and it's a bait and ditch.
Absolutely.
And so what happens is you go there, and they're pumping you up, you know, the few, the proud, and then the lost. And when that happens, you're just trying to survive. And my view of PTSD is, and I want to change, by the way, the diagnosis of PTSD, but I never will be able to. I want to change it to RTA, which stands for re-traumatization avoidance. Re-traumatization avoidance, because what happens is when you get traumatized so badly, you don't know how you made it through it, and what you say to yourself is, I know one thing for sure, I couldn't go through it again. So you do what you can to survive it while it's happening, you get through it, but inside you have this incredible vulnerability that you never really, you got past, but you never got over. And all the symptoms of PTSD are ways of avoiding being re-traumatized. So you numb yourself, you avoid things, and then when you lower your guard, when you're in that car or that truck because you feel relaxed and you're not around people and you hear a car backfire, you almost jump through your skin because you've lowered your guard and you've been re-traumatized, and you're back there feeling like, oh, it's going to happen again. and this is how you live your life. And I'm sure I will not be able to get the diagnosis changed, but everyone I've talked to, they say that's exactly our life. We are trying to avoid being re-traumatized because the next one will kill us or make us crazy, and that's what's happened to these military shooters.
This is very interesting. Paul, would you say that the teaching, because anytime the military teach you some shit, they're not teaching you in a docile way.
No.
They're not teaching you nicely. No. You got some kids who've gone to war. They may not have been a part of the actual fighting, but they still come back with PTSD. So what I'm saying is, how was remote viewing taught? I'm sure it wasn't taught in a passive way, especially, I mean, because, you know, we romanticize things. We think everybody is Jason Bourne. You know, everybody's like, who was I? I was David Webb.
Even Jason Bourne isn't Jason Bourne.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So my question is, how do they teach remote viewing? Do they teach it in a way that, you know, these people have nightmares and, oh, these memories, they're attacking me, I can see into people's mind. How is it taught, man?
You know, it would really surprise you. The way we learned remote viewing, first of all, it wasn't military folks that taught us. We were taught by civilian contractors, right, who were actually scientists for the most part.
Wow.
Okay. And it was taught in a very laid-back, unstressful way, because they discovered that the more stressed out a remote viewer is, the less functional he is, or she, because we had a lot of women too. And so they learned very quickly, or knew it from the beginning, that you want to actually have a very gentle kind of environment. Now, the words gentle and military don't always go together, but they did in this case. And so the one catch is, and this was mentioned. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the PTSD doctor. What's your name?
Dr. Goulston.
Dr. Mark.
Goulston.
Dr. Mark.
Okay.
Dr. Mark.
Mark is good.
Yeah.
Good. And I'm Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Don't call me doctor or major. Okay. Yeah. So Mark, you mentioned that often some of these PTSD / what did you call them? Trauma avoidance.
Yeah.
What was it again?
Re-traumatization avoidance.
Okay, RTA. Yeah. So you mentioned that some of these folks at least go in and they're already kind of a threshold sort of a case, right? They're not. They may have boundary issues. They may not be as well grounded as some other folks might be, and perhaps they're more vulnerable to RTA, right? The same issue kind of can happen in remote viewing, where if you get somebody who's got boundary issues, maybe borderline personality, for example, somebody like that, they might come in.
Explain more boundary issues for
remote viewing. I'm sorry?
No, explain more boundary issues. I understand it, but for our listeners, a lot of people don't understand what that means. So explain that, please.
Well, that's just someone who may not have a strong sense of self, that tend to
weak-willed,
be a little, have. In fact, you could probably explain better than I could, but they're just not as well integrated as a person or as a personality as other people might be. Not well balanced is kind of a generic term somebody might use. These folks have essentially weaker boundaries. They're not quite sure where they end and others begin, I guess you could say.
Wow.
And if you get folks like that getting involved in remote viewing, the remote viewing, they may end up being, to use a technical term, they may end up becoming crazy, right? So
wow.
It isn't that the remote viewing in and of itself was the cause. It acts as a trigger for underlying issues they might have, right? And so, of course, the military were generally pretty well screened. They tried to get folks who had a good grounding before they were brought into the program, because there was some concern about that issue. And so, generally, the training was really,
Paul,
it was really benign. But it's possible that you might have somebody who has some kind of a psychotic reaction. In fact, there was somebody who wasn't directly in the training, but was exposed to it in an indirect way, and they did have a psychotic reaction. So that could happen. But it isn't your typical military training. You don't do push-ups if you mess up. You don't get obscenity screamed at you the way it was at basic training for me.
Really quickly, Paul.
Well, gentle. I don't know of another word to express.
Paul, really quickly, I want you to tell everybody what your website is right now. I want people to go there right now. I want you guys to listen. I want you to purchase this book. There's a reason. There's a method behind my madness. Go purchase this book. Where do they find it at, Paul?
If you go to the website Guide to Remote Viewing, all those words run together, guidetoremoteviewing.com. You can get it there.
Wow. Hey, I got to take a quick break. When I come back, more with Paul. We're not going to call him Major or Doctor. More with Paul about remote viewing. Dr. G, all my crew is in here. We're going to talk about it. It's going down. The ZoWhat Morning Show. We'll be back at 2.2. Holla!
5 minutes to your side, baby. Yeah. Nobody knows just.
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically
naughty.
I'm never politically correct.
Dr.
Drew, hi. Oh, I'm so.
Hey guys, how are you? It's
I'm-
all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
But only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously,
Sure.
if someone like, you know, because a little too groping might be inappropriate. But I like the flirting and stuff.
When I walked in, you shoved my head in your.
No! Are you gonna sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey. Mondays at 4 p.m.
If the fish swam out of the ocean and grew legs and they started walking, and the apes climbed down from the
Jason Stewart here for Zinna TV. On the show Absolutely Jason Stewart every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Big guests, everyone from the gayest to gay to the straightest to straight. David, what was his name?
He's absolutely Jason, he's absolutely gay, he'll absolutely brighten up.
A hot nothing.
We out here.
That's what we talking about. Absolutely nothing.
Thursdays,
12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
A hot nothing on Z Hollywood TV.
That was perfect.
That ain't mine. That ain't mine. That ain't mine.
Estabrooks begins developing a theory that hypnosis can be used to create a super spy, a potentially powerful weapon of war.
Through hypnosis, mind control, brainwashing, you create a new identity in a person. You create an amnesia barrier between their ordinary identity and the new identity or altered personality. The newly created identity can be used for actual operations, that is, explosives, infiltration, surveillance.
If the person is captured and tortured, since they don't know that they have this other part of themselves, they'll never reveal the information and they'll go to their death not knowing what's going on.
Estabrooks tries to convince the military that it's possible to create an intelligence operative who could be hypnotically controlled. At first, his suggestion is disregarded. But then a strange series of events in Moscow will convince the U.S. government that Estabrooks' theory is worth a second look. In the 1930s, England, France, and Germany were exploring hypnosis and drug-induced interrogation. But most significant research was being conducted in the Soviet Union. There, neuropsychologist Alexander Luria was pioneering new techniques in hypnosis.
Luria gets the idea that if you can implant false memories with people, could you also create false emotional conditions? And so Luria began experimenting with creating hypnotically programmed emotional conflicts.
In 1937, Stalin puts his former Bolshevik compatriots on trial. Known as the Moscow Show Trials, these court cases give the world its first public glimpse of mind control.
One by one, they confessed to being enemies of the state and begged to be executed. And so the Western intelligence agencies got quite frightened.
There was a fear that the Soviets had learned a lot of things that would weaken our will, that would get into our minds, into our brains.
But the United States' concern at the bizarre confessions at the Moscow show trials was soon eclipsed by a more immediate concern, World War II. It is the end of American isolationism and the beginning of a real need for foreign intelligence. The need is filled in 1942 by a new government agency, the Office of Strategic...
Listen, you know how America is. They'll let you know they've done some shit 60, 70 years later. But the reality of it is, this kind of stuff has been in play for a long time. Mm-hmm. My question to Paul and Dr. G and Kev and Setu is, can remote viewing be seen as a type of brainwashing? Can you send messages from your mind into another person's mind and influence them? You wrote a book on influence. Can you use remote viewing to influence somebody?
Is it a two-way street?
Right. Like, I'm concerned because there's nothing wrong.
Who's supposed to answer that question right now?
Dr. G, and then you.
Yeah, Paul,
Okay.
Paul, I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna demonstrate remote viewing right here and now with Zo. Okay, so focus the camera on Zo, but you can hear me. So if I make a distinction between listening to people and listening into people, and listening into people is kind of like remote viewing. So if I listen to you, I hear you talking about, well, the need to do this. This is a real good skill. People should really be aware of this. This could really help their lives, and but if I listen into you, now watch Zo's face. If I listen into you, what I hear, especially at the beginning of the show, when we talked about the violence in the world, is you're about making people passionate and taking action. You're not about inflaming them for violence.
Right.
And you feel a responsibility because you're passionate, but you don't want people to be listening where your passion crosses over and they say, I learned to kill because of Zo being so angry.
Right.
And so there's a real distinction for you people listening that Zo doesn't want you to go out and get yourself killed or kill anyone else.
Right.
Another way of listening into you, Zo, is you really care about your audience much more than they're aware of. And so you're always on the lookout for people that can make their lives immediately better today. And also, you can't stand it when you bring people on that waste their time and your time, and you're kind of protective of that. Is any of that true?
That's true to the motherfucker. That's because I told you that.
That wasn't remote. You just sent it to me under the table. But the point I'm getting at, and this is about influence, the point I'm getting at is that when I was understanding what between the words, what you meant and what you said,
right,
you're more open to our having a conversation than it being a transaction.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's the distinction, is that when you, one of my favorite phrases, quotes of all time, comes from a British psychoanalyst, and he says, the purest form of listening is to listen without memory or desire. And what he means is when you listen with memory with another person, you have an old agenda that you're trying to plug them into to serve you. And when you listen with desire, you have a present or future personal agenda you're trying to plug them into, and it's all about you. And there's a way to listen without memory or desire. It's what I call purposeful, agendaless listening. But you have to come from a place where you really care about serving the other person as opposed to selling them something that'll make you better and them worse.
And I would think you have to be in the moment at the same time.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about future and past.
Absolutely.
Right. Both of those are pathological at a certain point.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think what happens is being in the future or the past keeps us remote from the present.
Wow.
We can't be in the present. And if you can let go of that and listen into it, I'm telling you, listeners and viewers, the people in your life, if you look into their eyes, they are screaming at you to hear their fears, what they're angry about, their dreams. And don't do a bait and switch. Don't recruit them and then just do a switch to what you want them to do instead of what's important to them. People are just screaming out to you to hear them.
Paul, and then Kev.
Yes.
Your response to that?
Yeah, so, well, I think Mark's done a great job of explaining one sense of the word remote viewing. And there's, of course, a lot of different ways you can interpret it. One is the strictly technical way, which is oftentimes they'll talk about having a internet camera or whatever, webcam, whatever, observing a scene in a distant location. They call that remote viewing. Of course, that's a new term. The term remote viewing was coined back in 1971 to refer to this ESP skill I'm talking about. But you can certainly observe things that are not necessarily obvious remotely, which I gather is the general thrust of what Mark is getting at. Your question pertained to, of course, the ESP approach, and whether is that a two-sided thing, whether you can have what's often called remote influencing
right.
in addition to the remote viewing. So
Yeah.
remote viewing is a passive skill. It's a kind of you can almost say it's an observational sort of a practice where you collect experience and information from a distant or shielded location. Can you turn that around and influence other people? And I have to say I'm a bit dubious about that. I've not seen any good evidence that suggests to me that you can remote influence intentionally, use your own intentional content to influence the intentional content of someone else. There is some sort of suggestive information or evidence that comes out in the prayer studies where you have a control group and you have another group where you're praying for people who are ill.
Yeah.
You pray for a group of people pray for people who are ill, and they seem to get better, at least in some of the research, whereas the control group does not. So, I think there's some sort of almost vague evidence for it, but there's nothing really concrete.
Doc.
There is plenty of concrete evidence for the actual success of the remote viewing part of it. And I want to go to your idea of causing someone to become a Manchurian Candidate very quickly.
I want to ask.
Then I'll get back.
I wanted to ask you about the men.
Hold on. He's about to do that, and then you ask the question.
Go ahead. It was what he was just talking about.
He was just about to. He's just about to say it. Go ahead. Say it, Paul, and then Kev has a question.
Okay, so the Manchurian Candidate idea. What's interesting about remote viewing? One of the reasons the remote viewing program got started by the government was because they were afraid the Russians were doing exactly what you're proposing. That they were in some way weaponizing a remote influencing thing and affecting foreign leaders, whatever. So far, I've not been able to determine that, but I would say that at least the person doing the remote viewing, it actually, because you become very mindful, you really understand your inner processes much better than you do before you learn it, you actually make yourself a very bad candidate for being a so-called Manchurian Candidate, right? You're at the point where it's harder for people to influence you unconsciously and unintentionally on your part. And so, in a way, it's a defense against that more than anything.
So you heard about the military program, or the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yes, yeah.
And so,
that bullshit.
So, but there was a report that some guy was able to kill a goat by staring at it. Was that at all true? Or
no, that wasn't
report?
true.
Okay.
That wasn't true. I know where the story came from, and it doesn't have any foundation. It was very funny. I mean, I have to admit, watching George Clooney stare at that goat was hilarious, But and that whole movie, I thought it was really entertaining. I got a real kick out of it, but it also was completely Hollywoodized. I mean, there was almost nothing in there that could be pointed at as an undistorted fact. But it was very amusing, and it did give the field some notoriety. But there was so much in there that you can't count on that as any kind of a factual or historical representation of what we were involved in.
Kev?
All right, no, just going back on that history of the Manchurian Candidate, of how it came about. When the Japanese were taking POWs, they were moving them through a prison camp in Manchuria, and there were reports when the POWs moved through there that they had lost some memory. So there was a lot of reports that a lot of the POWs had lost memory. So that's where the idea of the Manchurian Candidate came up, because when they came back, they were wondering if they had messed with their minds, they did anything to brainwash them, and that they were going to come back and get any secrets or anything like that.
Yeah, and then, of course, that got reinforced in Korea with what the Chinese were doing, and the Russians, actually, too. So, yeah.
But you correct me if I'm wrong, Paul. when something in the American government, especially in the military, works, do they just stop doing it? Or do they keep it cracking?
On the low.
Dude.
Tell us, Paul. Tell us the truth.
Think what you just said. Think what you said. The U.S. government and the military, do they ever do anything stupid?
I believe they do stupid things.
They do stupid stuff.
But if something works, like for me, quantum mechanics, consciousness and all of the new discoveries, we might be living in a simulation and all of this stuff, deals in the field of consciousness. And remote viewing is also in that field. I don't see them.
And also to your term of the PTSD, or them using a lot of the melanated people to come back as Manchurian candidates. When they first started doing this, the OSS, Office of Strategic Services, when they first started trying to do the MK Ultra thing back in like the 50s, the people that they started experimenting on were prostitutes and pimps, because they couldn't retaliate if they found out.
Oh, because of the drugs and the drugs they were using on people.
Well, the drugs,
and nobody would believe them if they did.
Exactly.
Right.
But you see, they started it, and so back in those days, so you're talking about 50s and 60s and early 70s, pimps and prostitutes
had
and
no
stuff
leg
like
to
that.
stand on.
Who was most of that? what ethnicity was that going around?
Right.
So they were already doing that. You know what I'm saying, or practicing.
But they were, Timothy Leary and your brain is God and LSD work and all of this stuff. So my question
and other
is,
psychedelics.
How is all of this stuff related to remote viewing? Is remote viewing the drug-free version of reaching altered states of consciousness, or is it just a way of accessing information in someone else's mind?
Well, you're not accessing information in someone else's mind. You're accessing it from the universe itself.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah. Okay. Bam.
Very little of what we did had anything to do with reading minds. I mean, that's obviously the thing that the media thinks of immediately is mind reading. But it really wasn't mind reading. It was, and it may have something to do with quantum physics. Ultimately, there are some remote viewing and parapsychology researchers who think that a phenomenon called quantum entanglement is the thing that makes all this stuff work. I have some misgivings about that, but still, it's a plausible way of looking at it, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not really mind reading. It's getting information just from the universe in some way. And I have to say, I admit this, we don't know how this thing works, right? Which is one of the reasons why science has a hard time with it, is because in science, you've got to have a story that explains how things work.
The scientific method,
or they won't accept it.
Yeah.
And we don't have a story yet that explains it. We do have the evidence, though.
Paul,
the irony is that in science, evidence isn't enough. You also have an explanatory context. They call that a theory.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to say. That's quantum theory. The quantum entanglement is quantum theory. It's not quantum mechanics.
Well, part of it, yes.
Because quantum mechanics is the application of something. Right. So quantum theory is this is possible or possibly what could be happening. Go ahead, Dr. G.
Yeah, Paul, I wonder what you think of what I'm about to say. I had a late mentor, my last mentor, a guy named Warren Bennis, big leadership guy. He died a couple of years ago. Years ago yesterday. I kind of miss him. And one of the things he taught me is he said, be a first-class noticer. Because when you notice, it's different than looking, watching, seeing, or hearing. And when you notice, you're absorbed into what you notice, whereas when you're just looking, watching, or seeing, you're an observer. So, like, when I look and watch and see, I know Zoe's my target today, but when I look and watch and see and he's carrying the conversation, going, I'm watching that as an observer, but when I notice him, at least in some of the things he's saying, I can notice in his mind that he's really trying to make sense of this. I mean, Zoe is an incredibly curious, passionate about learning individual, and this is kind of new, and there's something in it that he likes, and it's relevant to him. He can't quite put his hands around it, but I'm noticing that he's wanting to, that this is not just foo-foo stuff. And so by noticing that, I'm much more present to him as opposed to just looking, watching, and seeing and being an observer. So how does, I don't know if any of that makes sense, but how does that fit in with part of what you're talking about? Is it the universe is there for us to notice if we take the time to do it?
Well, in a way, I like how you say notice, because that's kind of the experience I have when I'm remote viewing, is when I'm actually on, and you're not always on. There's a certain very nuanced state you have to get into, and it's easy to get knocked out of it. But when you're in that nuanced state, it's like when you're, and I say "at" in scare quotes here because you're not actually there, only your consciousness has some connection to it, right? But when you're at the target, when it's working, it's just like you're in a state of noticing. I mean, it's a form of awareness that you have to experience to kind of understand, but everybody, I think, has experienced it one time or another. You're there and you notice things. It isn't just that you see that there's red there. You have a consciousness of it being red, right? Or I'm using real simple examples, right? Or if there's a device or an apparatus there, you just notice in a way. I like that term a lot, actually. You notice that it's there. Now, the only difference is, of course, that what you're noticing is in a sealed facility on the other side of the Ural Mountains in former Soviet Union, right? And you're in an office at Fort Meade, Maryland. So the noticing is of a different the noticing link is of a different form than you would if you were there in the presence of it, right?
But I think you can even.
But the experience is very similar in that way.
But I think you can do it remotely because I can't see you, and we're all listening to you, and like with Zo, as I'm listening into you, I'm noticing that you're also a person who tries to make connections and make sense out of data that comes into you, as opposed to just pushing your agenda. So I don't know if I'm correct in noticing you as a great guest that we're having, but it sounds like you're not just here to throw out everything you know. It sounds like that you like to take in data and make sense of it as it comes in. Is any of that true?
I like a good conversation, and it drives the people who I'm supposed to be marketing, helping them market the products that we share jointly. It drives them nuts because I'm not a good marketer because I'm too busy exploring connections and talking to people and stuff.
Paul, is there a specific demographic that excels at this awareness of the universe?
Namely women?
Perhaps.
Are women more intuitive than men?
It's not gender-based.
No,
it's not gender-based.
Wow.
Well,
are there any lines?
My whole thing is if you go back and you do the deep study of it, science has already proven that everything has a vibrational energy or a frequency, and so people or humans at one point, actually as we're walking around, we're semiconductors, and so you can meditate and tune your vibration or hone your vibration to pull in other frequencies. And so to me and this has been going on since time immemorial, back, pyramids, all beyond that. So, it's just meditating and understanding how to tune your body to that certain vibration to pull in the frequency, just like a radio. And, basically all information is vibrational energy. So if you look up like cymatics, it'll show you that every frequency has a definite form. So I mean, a literal form. No matter what frequency you hit, like if it, especially the higher the frequency, the more complicated the form. So if you're trying to, everything in the universe, if it's vibrating, it has a frequency, and all you just need to do is be able to tune yourself to that frequency and pull in that information. So that's pretty much what remote viewing is.
Can I?
Yes.
Well,
yes,
I'd like to go back to the gender question in a minute, but let me respond to that. Actually, I find that metaphor really helpful in helping people do it, right? But I think it might be just a useful fiction in that respect, kind of like Dumbo's magic feather. You think this, and that helps you focus, or guided visualization when you're trying to
like the flame,
access subconscious response or something.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Well,
it's just something to focus on, like the flame or the pendulum or something.
It is, but it isn't. Like if you go there's been studies. There's a society called the International Federation of Pigment Cell Societies, and so they study the melanocyte or the melanin cell. And so every person in the world has melanin, even Caucasian people. And there's two types of melanin. There's skin melanin and there's neuromelanin.
Right.
So melanin in the nervous system. So everyone has that. Even if you see, the most albino person has neuromelanin. And so what they've shown in these is that melanin is a superconductor. If you can tune it, when you run 200 volts over melanin, it goes into what's called the on stage. So basically, us being electrical beings, when you're meditating and you're tuning yourself to a certain vibration, you're raising that energy.
Yeah.
And you're able to you're able to tune into that melanin and pull the vibration. I mean, they found so many things that melanin can do, turning heat to sound and light to energy and back and forth. I mean, this is actual scientifically documented stuff. And actually, they have another conference that's coming up They have them every 3 years, and it just so happens it's going to be in America next year in Denver. So anybody who wants to go, it's open to the public.
I'm going.
$500. Anybody can go. So you can go and learn these.
I was going to say, just a side quip. In a way, we might have a different way of talking about race. Instead of being white, we are just melanly challenged, right?
Melanly. And you're not. Caucasian people have melanin. It's called pheomelanin, and darker people have
melanin.
You're a
failure at melanin.
Whitey. Melanin, and black people have eumelanin, but everyone has neuromelanin. That's not that. It doesn't matter how dark or light you are. Everyone has.
I understand. I just thought it was an interesting new way of looking at it.
No, it's right. You're right.
That reminds me of the movie.
Absolutely.
That reminds me of the famous line in the movie Cool Hand Luke when Scruther Martin said, "I think what we have here is a failure to melanate." No, he said.
Okay, so Jeff's not here.
Paul got that.
So when Jeff doesn't show up, you try to be funny.
Okay, but every now and then I try.
So let me go back to the vibration thing. Now, when I said it was a useful fiction, I don't mean that vibrations don't exist or anything like that. And I think your melanin story is very intriguing. In fact, I might even look into that after we're done with our interview. But what I want to say about this is that when we talk about vibrations, but they pertain strictly, as far as we know, to the physical universe, right? The physical universe, everything in it vibrates or involves a frequency or something like that. But I'm not convinced that consciousness is a physical phenomenon. In fact, I'm kind of convinced the other direction. I think that there might be a non-physical aspect to the universe in a bigger sense, right? And
of course.
And consciousness, I don't know if it's vibratory in its foundation or not. I think it might be something even more primitive than that. Obviously, go ahead. What?
No, I think Paul is right on with this, because we already know that the atom is 99.9999999% empty space.
It's
and whatever we consider to be solid bits of matter or mass pops in and out of existence.
Right,
with a conscious observer.
But what they consider physical mass is just energy and vibration. When I touch him, I'm not touching him. It's our frequencies repelling.
You are touching him, though.
No,
I don't need you to get your
hands
on Dr. G.
It's the frequencies repelling each other. So that's what it is. I mean, you can't see the frequency, so it's not necessarily a physical thing. You can't see the vibration. It's not necessarily that. But, as far as consciousness being able to tune in, I mean, this has been going on or been taught throughout time immemorial that consciousness is a vibration. It's literally a frequency, and you can tune in. It's many frequencies, different conscious ideas, different levels of frequency.
So,
Dr. G,
I like to every now and then give our listeners and viewers a tip they can use today to make their lives better. Is it safe to say that everybody who's online now, the four of us and Paul, that we've all on occasion had difficulty with some people in our life who get a tad emotional? Would you say that's true?
Yes.
And they don't want to listen to reason. Would you say that's true? You run into those people?
Yeah.
So here's what you can try if you can relate to that. With that person in your life, if they're going on, what you do is you let them finish and you say to them, what I'm noticing is that you're real frustrated and upset with me, and if I give you advice or tell you to calm down, it makes you flat out angry. Is that true? And what you'll notice to that person is so they're vented, and you say to them, I know you're frustrated or upset with me, and if I give you advice right now and tell you to calm down, it's going to make you angrier. Is that true? And if you watch, it will change the entire energy in the conversation. They will look at you and go, huh? I was just noticing that because what I know how to do is give advice and try and calm people down, but it's backfiring with you. Is that true? I did that with my wife, and she just calmed down. And then I said, any idea what I can do next? And she said, no, but you're doing a good job.
All right. Listen,
that'll change the energy in your conversation.
You're causing them to move themselves out of the emotional state.
Absolutely.
Because they have to reflect on what you said.
Right. Reflection is good for communication. Absolutely. Listen, we're about to take a quick break. But before we do that, let me acknowledge a few people who have donated to the Indiegogo campaign.
Right.
I'm trying to write this next book, The Holographic Relationship, a deeper look into the relationship between consciousness, spirituality, and intimacy. Very powerful work I'm working on right now. A few people have donated over the past 2 hours. William Clark, 2 hours ago, donated $50.
Thank you, William.
Miguel Oates, an hour ago, donated $20.
Good job,
Oh,
Miguel.
William Clark, you're going to get some free underwear from Me Undies. Expect to get an email from Me Undies. You get 2 pair of underwear for your $50 donation. DJ Get Buck up in here. You're going to be able to get Buck in some new draws for your $50 donation an hour ago. And 24 minutes ago, Torres Richardson donated $25. Listen, if you want to get shouted out right now, get to Indiegogo.com, search ZoWilliams, Z-O Williams. You'll see my latest campaign. We're currently at $3,069. We want to make it to 10 grand by tonight. Don't say we can't do it. I'm collapsing the wave function. I'm going to holler at you in a minute. We'll be back at 2.2.
What's the evidence there? Next slide. Remote viewing is one of the best established areas of paranormal phenomena. Now, in the early 70s, the U.S. government funded a remote viewing program that was started in secret by the CIA, continued for 20 years. Fortunately for us, it became public and disbanded in the early 90s. And so now all those remote viewers have gone to teaching others. So many people now have become remote viewers. I took a course in remote viewing in '96. One of the nice things about remote viewing is that even if you're not very psychic, even if you're like a left-brain scientist like me and you're used to trying to analyze or overanalyze everything, remote viewing is perfect for you because it gives you a structure that keeps your left brain busy. Every thought that comes up, that pops into your head, your left brain, your analytical part has to analyze it and put it into a chart or something, and that gives your right brain or your subconscious mind, your intuitive mind, the freedom to come up with more ideas. And as the session proceeds in this structured way, you get more and more in tune with the target. You know, you're never given what the target is. You're always told it's just some set of numbers somewhere, so you have no idea consciously what it is. Here's an example from where the target was the destruction of Pompeii, by the volcano in Roman times. And what I got was, Spanish-style house with a fountain. I saw something that looked like the old Roman houses. The idea of Exodus, the Red Sea, flurry of activity. Even the name Pompeii, destruction of Pompeii, came up for me. And the drawing shows Roman soldiers building a barricade, while in the distance there is light in the sky, something bright. There's dark smoke around it, and I wrote in, "It's making me cry," and I felt fear and urgency and the crowd and all those things. So even though I wasn't sure exactly where I was, I got all the feelings of being there. And that this is a drawing that actually was done during the session. I added the color later to make it easier to understand, but if you take remote viewing courses, you realize.
As soon as I say, one here,
What we do here is go back.
This is Slink Johnson, a.k.a. Black Jesus, b.k.a. Godzilla Lung.
Yo, what's up? This is Craig Wayne.
What's good? It's your boy Marcus Parker.
And you're watching Z
Hollywood TV.
Did you know that 67% of American women are size 14 and above?
You mean they look like this?
Yeah, girl.
So then where are we in television and film?
And where are we in fashion magazines and clothing stores?
Yeah.
So we want to help out entertainment and fashion and media.
Catch the F up.
Watch us on Plus This.
Live
Every Thursday
at 7 p.m.
on Senate TV.
And it's Mary Carey, of course, politically naughty with Mary Carey.
I'm always naughty. I'm always politically. My behavior is always politically
naughty.
I'm never politically correct.
Dr.
Drew, hi. Oh, I'm so.
Hey guys, how are you?
It's all teary-eyed, Doctor.
I know. She wished she could live at rehab.
But only if Dr. Drew's there. Obviously, if someone like, you know, because a little too groping might be inappropriate. But I like the flirting and stuff.
When I walked in, you shoved my head in your.
No! Are you gonna sue me?
Get politically naughty with Mary Carey. Mondays at 4 p.m.
Of these activities. We are professing to tell you the complete story that we know. Right. But these records that we've uncovered don't tell the story. They tell pieces of it.
This is a story that has been told in bits and pieces. This is an attempt to pull most of it together. We know we don't have the full story. We do, however, have some striking new revelations and insights. The story begins here, just off the nation's front yard, the Mall. The buildings behind me were the headquarters for the World War II Office of Strategic Services. It was here that the first halting steps toward mind control began. The shaper and molder of OSS was General Wild Bill Donovan. He said of his group's work, "We may have made mistakes, but we were not afraid to try things that were never done before." In this anything-goes atmosphere, Donovan appointed this man, Stanley Lovell, a Boston industrialist, to break new ground in many scientific and technical fields. Donovan called Lovell his Dr. Moriarty, after the fiendish professor in Sherlock Holmes. Lovell liked the name and posed for this Saturday Evening Post photo. He later wrote of his OSS job that it was, quote, to stimulate the Peck's bad boy beneath the surface of every American scientist and to say to him, throw all of your normal law-abiding concepts out of the window. Here's a chance to raise merry hell. It was in this atmosphere that the search for mind control began. This bizarre man would be an active participant in that search over the next 2 decades. His name is George White, an OSS captain who had formerly been with the Bureau of Narcotics. In his diary, seen here publicly for the first time, White left a legacy of the darker side of American intelligence work. He received his early OSS training at the British-run school at Oshawa, Canada, the same school where Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, was trained. White referred to the school in his diaries as the Oshawa School of Mayhem and Murder. Mike Burke, former OSS colleague of White's and now president of Madison Square Garden Center.
Very compelling fella, mysterious fella, almost mystical fella. He was fascinating because you knew something about him, but not enough about him to really get a fix on him. He also knew a great deal about the swifter elements of society, the gamier side of life, and he was very impressive in his technical knowledge of the underworld, so to speak.
He said one of our men gets beat up.
Listen, I always make this point. I know I be ranting a little bit, but shit, I got a little space today. When you look at that kind of stuff, when we go back years and years and years, right? That's old.
That's the 60s.
That's old. They talk about World War I and the Cold War and the Russians. Listen, let's talk about today.
They got it way tighter now.
Listen. Not only are they more refined, right, in their skill development, in that skill set, but think of it this way. Remember back in the days, and the old people in here will know what I'm talking about, Paul and Mark, they the old ones. They will know. Remember when the enemy used to be outside of America?
Right.
Yeah. The enemy now is moving here. Mm-hmm. Whether he comes from another country or whether he's already been here. Mm-hmm. Right? They call them enemy combatants.
Yep.
Right? So my question is, don't think that all of this technology and all of this knowledge all of a sudden they sweethearts and they gonna be cool with you. No, they're gonna use everything that is at their disposal to dispose of your ass. So to me, it's about organizing with people of like minds. It's about getting intelligent. It's about studying books like the one Paul Smith has put together so meticulously. It's about studying Dr. G's books. It's about reading the books we write. It's about expanding your consciousness, because that, to me, is the new frontier. While everybody else is talking about the dollar and status and internet and likes on Instagram, consciousness is being developed under your feet, and you don't have access to it, so that makes you an end user of reality. You're not a back-end user. You don't understand the server. You just understand the GUI.
You're a consumer.
The graphic user interface. You're just a consumer to consume what is presented to you. The real work moving forward is the development of your consciousness, and that's what this book is a gateway to me. Setu?
I found it really interesting that the MK Ultra used a lot of drugs and hypnosis, and then shortly, maybe I guess that was 15 years later, the drug war comes in, and it seems like the drug war was a perfect cover to keep people uninformed about the effects of drugs, which is how they use them to control people.
But isn't drugs? But wait a minute, isn't drugs by definition conscious altering?
Yes.
Isn't that what it's for?
And that all runs in line with controlling people and keeping them from expanding their consciousness and getting new information and being able to be outside of the program.
Wow. Hey, Paul, do you think the same way? Do you think drugs, by definition, are for altered states of consciousness? Say like peyote or,
Mushrooms.
DMT, mushrooms. And do you think the government tries to mitigate the use of these or make them illegal because people can reach higher states of consciousness and awareness? What do you think of that?
Is Paul not here?
What have you done to Paul?
That's appalling.
This guy right here.
Dr. G, he's really going to keep with the joke.
He got a sugar high going.
He's really going to do it.
Ratchet me back.
Well, Dr. G, until we get Paul back, what do you think of that?
What I was thinking, I want to ask, what you guys are all kind of young, but when I was
That's
growing,
disrespectful, Doc.
No, but
either we're young or we're not.
No, here's what I'm noticing.
You guys are kind of young.
No, here's what I'm noticing, and if it's true, I feel bad for all of you. It seems now that the world has bifurcated, and you're either pedal to the metal transactional, get that deal, do that project. Oh, I'm exhausted. I got to do mindfulness now. And whereas years ago, the killer deal making wasn't so rampant, and there wasn't this need for mindfulness. There was something that people actually were able to do, which has disappeared. It's called leisure. People do not have leisure anymore. What it is pedal to the metal, and then I've been too much, with that. Oh, I got to do some mindful, relax and do such and such. And I feel for you, because I'm old enough to remember that there was a time when, and I'm talking about mental leisure, when you didn't have this feeling, I got to get something done. Oh, I'm falling behind. What was my to-do list? And
we're mentally polarized, you're saying now.
Yeah. And so once upon a time, now I'm not saying it was the best time for blacks, although the community was less fragmented. Sure, you were under the white thumb the whole time, but you weren't fragmented the way you are now.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time when people, and leisure is not laziness, it's just like you're able to exhale.
Downtime.
You're able to exhale.
Yeah.
And now it's pedal to the metal. No, wait, I got to meditate now. Wait, I just killed 3 things, lost 3 things.
Well, that's what sports. That's what sports are for actually now.
Distraction.
The definition of sports is leisure. Actually, the etymology.
But distraction is not the same thing as leisure. Pokemon Go is taking all these people out of their lonesome little things, and what they're doing is they're connecting, but nobody's relating. I mean, you could be there on the Santa Monica Pier, and someone says, look what I just found, and you think you're connecting with them, and 3 hours later, one of those people go blow their brains out in their apartment because you're not emotionally connecting. You're intensive. You're involved in something exciting. and it takes away temporarily the aloneness, but I don't think it takes away the loneliness. And I think loneliness is getting worse, and people try to fill it with activity.
Absolutely.
Wow. Doc, I just have a gut feeling, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but my gut feeling is that with all of these rash of shootings and killings, black men being killed, and then the justification for it, I feared for my life, right? If you look at the African American male here in America, he's been conditioned to capitulate if he wants to get anywhere. It doesn't make sense to turn around and say, I'm afraid of black men, or black men are thugs and violent, when you have Ireland. Ireland is known.
Bombing.
Killing.
Not shooting.
Knife.
Yeah, bombing.
Getting stabbed. You gonna get stabbed in Ireland. Pick a fight with an Irish man.
Oh, that's not even.
He want to fight.
Yep.
An Irish midget will bite your nuts off. I'm just saying, they want to fight, but they are not villainized the way the African American male is. We got a president. I said this before. If stereotype threat exists in the White House, imagine how it can't exist in your house. If it exists in the White House, it damn sure gonna exist in your house. Stereotype threat, meaning, boy, you better act a certain way if you want to get up this ladder.
Right.
To me, I'm just saying, to me, and then Kev, you can go. To me, we've got to take control of the narrative that says we're the aggressor. Because we're not. And I'm showing you all of these videos, and I'm showing you, I'm framing this topic so you guys can understand it is an industry of death in America.
Absolutely.
It's an industry. They know how to kill, and they have tools. Like, this is part of them. This is part of their war. Remote viewing is a part of your military? What's a part of you? What military defense you got for that?
But for saying getting aggressive though, you gotta clarify that. You need to get aggressive consciously, and it goes back to what you were saying. Why are you worried about all this stuff on the surface and they consciously doing this on the bottom end? Consciously, you need to understand who you are, because that's a part of the game. One of the reasons that police officers brutalize melanated people, it goes back even to slave times, when you had slave patrols. But there was a law called the Casual Killing Act, and it allowed a slave master or one of the slave patrol officers, for lack of a better term, it allowed them to escape punishment for killing a slave. And it was because it was basically saying that if you killed a slave in due course of you trying to apprehend them or disciplining them or whatever, you're not at fault because it's the slave's fault. So you're going back to that status, that mentality or slave status. These type of laws, and this was a Virginia law, but they had many laws on the books, in different states that were similar. So you're going back to that consciousness level of who you are and what your status is. As a slave, you have no rights. You actually absolutely have no rights. So that's the conscious level that you need to get on, is who you are within this society.
And that's only the societal level of consciousness.
Yes, exactly. Not even the spiritual level.
The spiritual level is a whole
nother game. It's a whole nother game.
Man, Paul, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. Have you heard all of our jargon?
Yes. I think, except when everybody was talking at once, and I can't tell you for sure if I heard that. But.
Exactly. I try to coach them, man. They don't listen to me. But no, I'm just talking about the remote viewing as a skill that could be used. Do you have to be somewhere quiet? Is it like meditation? How is it related to meditation? Is it related to mind control? I just have so many questions. I just want to know. What are the basic principles of it? And do you teach it? And if so,
can you teach us?
Can you teach us? Or do we have to come capture
I don't
your
know.
ass
It
like the
depends on how
con?
teachable you are, but if you wanted to do it, I could try it. So
I want to know it.
So, to your first question, do it someplace quiet. It helps, but it's just like intuition. If you really need to do it, and you can do it anywhere, right? Yeah. So
no, that was big.
And
wait.
I do teach it. I actually have a couple different approaches to teaching. For folks who can afford it, I have a pretty high-end course, which I teach only 2 students at a time, and it's a week long for the basic level, and it's done. I'm in Cedar City, Utah right now, but I also do it in the winter in Las Vegas. And so if people are, if they can afford the time and the tuition, that's one way I do it. But I also have a DVD home study course out there that if you just want to get your feet wet, it's only a tenth the cost of the in-person one, and you can do that. It's if you're curious, it's the website is remoteperception.com.
remoteperception.com,
and there's
.com.
It's a 4 DVD set. Yeah, remoteperception.com. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I've heard good things about that. Obviously, you create a product, and since you're the one that created it, you don't know how well it works until you get reports from people who use it, right?
So, terms, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm pretty much done.
Okay, but so
I don't remember what the other questions were.
So in terms of the information, is the information that you can perceive? It's perception. It's not going into somebody's mind. It's perception. So that's unidirectional, or is it bidirectional? Can they also perceive who's perceiving them? Kind of like the observer is the observed.
What you're talking about is Dreamscape. Remember that movie Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid? See, this is but this was back with this was back in the early '80s when you had the remote viewing thing kind of really being worked. Dreamscape, if you guys haven't seen it, go check that out. It was a movie that the government was using these psychics to enter people's dreams and kill them in their dreams. So they were using them as assassins.
I gotta go see that.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go back and see that.
That
shit.
movie's off the chain. And so they were using
But
this
they
one guy
also
to kill
did-
the president. He was trying to kill the president with.
I mean, but we also have Minority Report, where they use the psychics
the cogs,
to
the
see
precogs.
the precogs to see the crime before it happened.
Right.
Is this where we're going, Paul? How are you responsible for this shit, Paul? Did you start this?
It's all my fault. Shoot. You had to point it out. No, obviously, all that is fiction, right? There's a kernel of truth to it. Whether or not it goes that far, first of all, at least in our society, the way it's established now, you can't get anybody for thinking they're going to do something, right? So, so having precogs predict a crime and then arresting somebody before they commit it, that would not work constitutionally. Now, would that work in some future society? I don't know. It's interesting to think about, if only so that you can prevent something like that happening in the future, right? So, but that's an interesting thing. Can it work both ways? That's a question people had for a long time. Can somebody at the far end at the target detect when a remote viewer is present? And so far, there doesn't seem to be any conclusive evidence about that. There are some self-reports that viewers will say, "I felt like somebody perceived me while I was there." Well, that's hard to prove, right? That's hard to prove, but it is perception, but in a perception in an interesting way. It's almost as if the information bypasses your normal senses. That's one of the reasons they call it extrasensory perception. It means
stealth
outside
mind.
the senses, beyond the senses, right? Wow. But the perceptual centers do seem to function because you do get sensory type experiences, just as if your perceptual centers were processing something your eyes, your ears, or your nose brought into you. But you're not. Your eyes, your ears, and your nose aren't bringing it in. But the perceptual centers are acting as if they were, and that information can be shown to be correct.
Wow.
Critical, right?
Paul,
So,
could you elaborate on the non-military uses of remote viewing?
Yeah, the interesting thing is when they declassified it in 1995 and it became public knowledge, there was a huge level of interest in it. Civilians wanted to get in on this, and they did not want to do it for obviously for military uses. They want to do it for their own purposes. Probably the biggest reason is people. It's kind of a self-actualization tool. Here's something society says is impossible, science says is impossible, and yet here I am doing it. That's a rush, let me tell you.
I bet.
Right?
I bet.
Yeah, and so a lot of people do it just to prove that they really are more than their physical bodies, or whatever, however they want to phrase it.
Is this something that was used in Google, say, or in Apple's boardrooms, or any, Fortune 500 company that they're using it to get upper hand?
So I have to say I don't know, but
Insider
I
trading?
actually have done work for a very large corporation. But the problem is those guys don't want anybody else to know that they're using it.
Of course.
And so I had to sign a bunch of non-disclosures and stuff saying that I would not say anything about who it was or what I was doing for them, right? So if it is being used, it's very unlikely that you'd hear about it. And of course, the skeptics or the critics will say, "Oh, well, they're just making that up, right?" Well, I have to tell you, I made a copy of the signed check. I could show you if it's.
I got this right here, baby, right here.
Right? But there are other, actually, more interestingly, people are using it to make money. Usually when people say, "Well, if you're psychic, why aren't you rich?"
Right.
Well, there are people who are actually getting rich using ESP, using remote viewing. There's this one process called associative remote viewing that allows you to predict the outcome, the state of the stock market or a given stock or sports game or whatever.
Or lottery.
And, of course, normally there's 50 if Team X is going to win or Team Y. This works up around 78%. You get a correct answer.
Paul,
78%.
Paul,
one guy did a study, made $150,000 over a 13-year period. Whoa. That's his net. That wasn't his gross. That was his net. $150,000 over a 13-year period using associative remote viewing on the futures market. So there is definitely practical application for this.
Paul, how much of this is being used? This is Mark again. How much of this is being used in anti-terrorism, work? Well,
my first answer would be not enough. Right, but the fact is, again, that's something that's hard to track. I do know that it has been used. I've actually, again, I had an Army Major Command. We did this pro bono because they didn't have a budget for it, but they wanted us to help track down a soldier that had been captured in a convoy raid in Iraq, and they asked us to work on that. As far as using it in counterterrorism, it's hard to say. I know of some instances, particularly after 9/11, where remote viewers were approached by really mid-level government folks, not the top folks, but the middle-level folks, and asked to contribute some information. How successful it was, I can't tell you that. Naturally, they don't reveal that stuff. But I would say if it is not being used, that's a mistake.
Okay, a good friend of mine is Brian Michael Jenkins. He's the head of anti-terrorism at RAND Corporation.
Yeah, I've met him, and I'm familiar with his work. He's a real heavy hitter in the counterterrorism.
And that's your friend.
I was about to, boy.
Shit. Tell him to tell his people to stop calling me.
We have lunch together. No, if you can get me a couple copies of the book, I'll give him one, because he and I have lunch together every now and then. And
the RAND Corporation.
Yeah,
right.
So you say.
So we have to
so
maybe
offline, if I can get your address, I'd be happy to.
Well, do you have Zoe's email? Zoe will just...
yeah,
yes.
I got him.
Okay, so you'll introduce us, and we'll follow Paul. There's because I just skimmed the book, and it looks real interesting, and I want to dig into it.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking he was at a conference I spoke at back in New York at the athletic club. There was a counterterrorism association conference there that I was invited to speak on this, and I actually presented a possible remote viewing solution to predicting terrorist attacks.
Wow.
So if he was there, he saw that. I'm trying to remember if that's where I met him or if it's somewhere else. But
yeah, he's all over the place. He's pretty busy right now.
I'd be happy to get you a couple copies.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay, guys, listen, I got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up with the final thoughts, and we're going to get everybody to give out their websites and all of that stuff. We'll be back at 2.2.
Jason Stewart here for Zinna TV. On the show Absolutely Jason Stewart every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Big guests, everyone from the gayest to gay to the straightest to straight. David, what was his name?
He's absolutely Jason. He's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up.
A hot nothing.
We out here.
That's what we talking about. Absolutely nothing.
Thursdays,
12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
A hot nothing on Z Hollywood TV.
That was perfect.
That ain't mine. That ain't mine. That ain't mine.
Did you know that 67% of American women are size 14 and above?
You mean they look like this?
Yeah, girl.
So then where are we in television and film?
And where are we in fashion magazines and clothing stores?
Yeah.
So we want to help out entertainment and fashion and media.
Catch the F up.
Watch us on Plus This.
Live.
Every Thursday
at 7 p.m.
on ZoWhat TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ZoWhat Morning Show concludes today's topic, the new Manchurian Candidate. I don't believe any of these operations have ended, and if us as African Americans, the people I believe who suffer from the most PTSD, and maybe it's some other people too. I'm hating. We can't just monopolize PTSD. Maybe the Native Americans are doing really fucking bad on them plantations. It ain't cool over there, you know. Maybe some other people are struggling real bad too, but I know African Americans got it bad. And all I'm going to say is if all of these techniques are just coming to your mind, just know you're at least 100 years behind. Right? Just know you're at least 100 years behind the curve.
You got a lot going.
You understand what I'm saying?
You gotta do a lot.
So all I'm saying to us as a people, all we have is what all other people have, and that's each other. Now, if we ain't mastered the religion of being down and being loyal and being forgiving and being collaborative and being cooperative and supportive for our own people, how can we expect the rest of the world to offer us those things that we don't offer ourselves? If we offer ourselves contempt, if we offer ourselves violence, if we offer ourselves unforgiveness, what makes you think the world will turn around and give you what you do not cultivate in your own backyard? The world ain't gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna love on you for hating on yourself. The world is not gonna do that for you. The world is not gonna set you up that way. And especially in doing topics like this, I like to highlight the fact that consciousness is reality construction. Now, if this is my final thought, set to. See, set to. You're brand new to the show and just showing off. Anyway, but no, it's consciousness is construction, regardless of if it's a negative thought process, a limiting belief, whatever. It's constructive. So what do we need to do as a people? We need to get together. We need to understand why getting together is important. We need to understand the meaning of organization, the meaning of coming together, the meaning of working together. Yes. We need to understand what the end result of that would look like. Do you understand what I'm saying? What would it look like if you raised a generation with the aspiration of owning their own university? That's just an idea.
Like the prep school Caucasian kids do.
How about it, right? Right? But no, we have aspirations of attending those schools, not building those schools, attending those schools so we can now look better to society. Let me tell you something about spirit and soul. It transcends society, but it also constructs it. So who wrote your narrative for making it here? You've got to challenge that author, and you have to take ownership of the pen or the quill, right, and write your own. That's why I do these types of shows. It's to push you into a new paradigm of thought. It's not a relationship, it's a relation shift from where you used to be to where you would like to be. But first, you have to purge the limiting, disparaging, negative, victimhood belief systems you got in place. That's the only way to change the game. So here's a couple of books. Get Out of Your Own Way, Dr. Mark Goulston. Don't Play Yourself, right? Talking to Crazy, Dr. Mark Goulston. You got to talk to your mama sometime, so you might as well get that one. Just Listen, Mark Goulston. Get those 3. Here's another one for young men, Real Men Don't Play, written by Bobby Glanton Smith. Very good book of essays by real men who did not take none, but made all they needed to be able to stand on their own platform. Got to get that book, Real Men Don't Play. Manhood Manual. You've got to get the essential guide to remote viewing. Let's get the relationships clean and clear. There's a practical use for it for relationships. Let's come in knowing some shit about each other instead of waiting 90 days before we have sex and then we think we know each other because we waited 90 days. Why don't we get this book and read it together before we fuck each other? Very good book here. Paul H. Smith, right? And if you're tired of that motherfucker you've been dealing with, right? You need a relationship philosophy. The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship by moi, Renard Zoe Williams. Go to my website. Only 200 copies are left. Only 200 physical copies are left. If you want your copy, get at me right now. I will mail it out tomorrow. Only 200 copies. I will not be reprinting anymore. Also, T-shirts. Go to my website, IamZoWilliams.com. Get your ZoWhat T-shirts. I got 2 designs. I love the crest. Yeah, I love the logo too, though. The logo's bad. Go to my website, IamZoWilliams.com, XL to 4XL. And also, finally, WP Barnett, 23 minutes ago, $50. You're going to get 2 pair of free underwear from Me Undies. Expected email. Sonia Chambers, 22 minutes ago, $10. We appreciate your donation. Andrew Roberts, 20 minutes ago, $25. We appreciate your donation. Zoe is looking to reach $10,000 before the day is out. I'm going to upload this show the moment it is over. I appreciate all the guests who were here. I'm going to let everybody... Paul,
don't look at me like
would you like to promote your book once again, Paul, and your website? Tell them where you are, Paul.
Yeah, I'm here. What was that? You want me to tell you my website again?
Yes, and give them your email so they can catch you.
Okay, so you can go for the book. You can go to guidetoremoteviewing.com.
Excellent.
That's guidetoremoteviewing.com. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. You were a great guest. I'd love to have you back. Next time, we're going to do demonstrations. Appreciate you for coming in, man.
That was fun.
Awesome.
I'd like to do it again.
You were great, Paul. Thank you.
Awesome. Kev, what's up, booty boxing?
That's not what that's not what the business is.
You teach people's booties how to box. It's cool.
No, I don't.
Just own your brand.
Yeah, get at me at 3bbootcamp.com. That's the number 3, bootcamp.com.
What do the 3 B's stand for?
Don't worry about that.
I'm just going to What do the 3 B's stand for?
Body boxing, boogie boxing, and
booty boxing.
Yes.
Booty boxing. That's what you. That's
one
your
of them. Is one of them.
He teaches your booty how to fight.
Go to realnoggins.com and get your Dragon Moore and Phoenix Moore shirts. Also, in a couple weeks, like I said, I'm doing a couple of classes on status. So if you guys want to hit that, get at me at realnoggins@gmail.com.
Dr. G?
At Mark Goulston, Twitter, Mark, MarkGoulston. August 18th, I'm doing a free webinar for Recruiter.com. It's free. They have 3 million members. Join us. If you sign up, you get a free copy of my Get Out of Your Own Way book as a PDF.
Awesome. Set to 10 seconds.
You can reach me at setu2k, setu2k at gmail.com, SETU, the number 2K. I I tutor.
Gang.
Thank you. I tutor. I teach.
He's a trainer,
self-defense.
martial artist. He's all of that. One of the homies I got we got a gang. We got a nice little crew of cats, man, that we've been down with for multiple years, man. Appreciate y'all. See y'all next week with another heater. So What Morning Show. We out.